You know what's interesting about riders with extremely high riding IQ? They rarely look the way we expect them to. We often imagine a highly skilled rider as the fastest one on the road, the most aggressive, the one weaving through traffic like it's a video game. But motorcycle psychology research suggests something completely different. The riders with the highest riding IQ are often the quietest ones, the most invisible ones, the ones you barely notice, because nothing ever seems to go wrong around them. And here's what makes this fascinating. Cognitive scientists and riding psychologists say that riding intelligence is less about raw skill and more about how your brain reads, predicts, and responds to an ever-changing environment. That processing shows up through very specific behavioral patterns that most people completely misread. Here are 10 signs of a genuinely high riding IQ. Sign 1. They ride like everyone else is invisible. High riding IQ riders operate on a simple but powerful mental model. They assume other drivers cannot see them, not as a pessimistic thought, as a survival strategy. Psychology calls this proactive hazard anticipation. Instead of reacting to danger, their brain is constantly running a quiet background process, scanning, predicting, and positioning before a threat even appears. Studies on rider cognition show that experienced high-awareness riders identify hazards an average of 2 to 3 seconds earlier than lower-awareness riders. 2 seconds doesn't sound like much. On a motorcycle at speed, it's everything. And this model never switches off. It runs on empty roads the same as in heavy traffic. They watch for front tires beginning to drift, for a driver's head turning before the lane change. The assumption of invisibility keeps their brain permanently active. That state is what keeps them alive. Sign 2. They are obsessed with their own position on the road. Where most riders just ride, high riding IQ riders are constantly adjusting their lane position. Left third, right third, center. It shifts every few seconds depending on what's ahead, behind, and beside them. This connects to a psychological concept called spatial threat modeling, continuously mapping the environment and placing yourself in the location of lowest risk and highest visibility. It looks effortless from the outside. Internally, it's an active and deliberate cognitive process running every moment they're on the bike. For them, lane position is about sight lines and escape routes. The left third approaching a bend opens the earliest view into the curve. Moving right behind a slow vehicle reveals what lies ahead. Where you sit on the road determines how many options remain when something goes wrong. Sign 3. They slow down when something feels wrong. This one is subtle. A high-riding IQ rider will reduce speed not because they see danger, but because something in the environment doesn't feel right yet. Psychologists call this intuitive risk detection. It's the brain pattern matching against thousands of stored riding scenarios and flagging a situation before conscious thought catches up. Most riders ignore that quiet signal. High IQ riders have learned to trust it completely. That alarm isn't random, it's accumulated experience processing faster than words. An unusual angle on a waiting car, an engine sound from just out of view. The brain registers it all before the conscious mind forms a sentence. High-riding IQ riders treat that signal as data, not paranoia. Slowing down costs almost nothing. Ignoring it can cost everything. Sign 4. They constantly update their mental model mid-ride. A high riding IQ isn't a fixed state, it's a live, constantly updating awareness system. These riders absorb new information every second. A car drifting slightly, a pedestrian glancing at their phone, gravel at the edge of a turn, and they adjust without drama. In cognitive psychology, this is called dynamic situation awareness, a concept extensively studied in aviation and now applied to motorcycle safety research. Their brain treats every ride as a living puzzle that keeps changing. They never assume the road ahead will look the same as the road behind them. A lower awareness rider notices a change in road surface. A high IQ rider notices it, recalculates braking distance, adjusts their line, and scans for the cause, all before consciously deciding to. That constant refresh is what makes their reactions look so smooth and unhurried.
Sign 5. They don't ride to impress anyone. Here's one that surprises people. High riding IQ individuals are almost completely indifferent to how they look on a bike. No ego, no performance, no proving anything. Psychology research on expert practitioners across high-risk disciplines consistently shows that ego and performance anxiety are the two largest disruptors of cognitive bandwidth. When your brain is busy managing how you appear, it has significantly less processing power available for actual threat detection.
High IQ riders have quietly eliminated that competition. A rider performing for the group takes corners faster than their sightline allows. Each ego-driven decision pulls attention from the environment.
High-riding IQ riders have made peace with looking ordinary because ordinary means their brain is fully available for the one job that matters.
Sign 6. They debrief their own rides. Most riders finish a ride and move on. High-riding IQ riders do something different. They mentally replay moments from the ride, a corner that felt slightly off, a gap they maybe shouldn't have taken, a lane change that worked out but perhaps relied too much on luck. This connects to a psychological process called metacognitive reflection, thinking about your own thinking and performance to extract lessons without needing a crash to teach you. It's a quiet sign, and it compounds over time into something extraordinary.
Now, consider something important for a moment. We talk about riding IQ as if the rider controls every variable, but the honest truth is they don't, and neither does anyone with a high riding IQ pretend that they do, because sometimes it isn't the rider's mistake at all. Sign 7. They treat gear as non-negotiable. High riding IQ riders don't debate gear. They don't negotiate with themselves on warm days or short trips. The gear goes on, every time. This isn't rule following. It's a deeply internalized understanding of probability and consequence, what behavioral psychologists call consistent risk mitigation behavior. Their brain has accepted a simple truth. You cannot predict which ride will be the one that matters, so every ride gets treated like it might be. Gearing up is also a ritual, a signal to the brain that attention is required. Riders who skip gear on short trips tend to be mentally less engaged on those trips too. For high-riding IQ riders, gear isn't only armor. It's a psychological commitment made before the engine starts. Sign 9. They are comfortable riding slowly. This is one that constantly surprises people. A rider with a genuinely high riding IQ has absolutely no discomfort with being the slowest one in the group when the situation calls for it. They have decoupled their identity from their speed entirely. Psychologically, this reflects high internal locus of control, decisions made by internal standards rather than external social pressure. The road sets the pace, not the group, not the ego. Group riding creates pressure to keep up. High-riding IQ riders have decided their own assessment of conditions outranks anyone else's. Poor visibility? They slow. Fatigue? They slow. Unfamiliar road? They slow. Without apology, without anxiety, and without it meaning anything about their ability as a rider.
Sign 9. They read other drivers' body language. Before a car moves, it signals, not always with indicators, with weight shifts, with front wheel movement, with a driver's head turning slightly before the lane change happens. High-riding IQ riders have developed what psychologists call behavioral prediction ability, reading micro-signals in other road users before the actual movement begins. It looks almost like a sixth sense from the outside. It's actually a trained pattern recognition system built through thousands of hours of deliberate observation. A car drifting toward the lane line is likely to change lanes. A driver whose eyes haven't moved probably isn't checking mirrors. High-riding IQ riders read these signals automatically, the way a card player reads a table. Not instinct. Years of treating other drivers as data sources rather than obstacles. Sign 10. They never stop learning. Perhaps the most consistent marker of a high-riding IQ is a genuine, lasting curiosity about the craft of riding. Not just courses early in their career, continuously. They read, study crash reports, analyze their own decisions, and seek feedback. In expertise psychology, this reflects what researchers call a growth orientation. Competence as a direction, not a destination. Always moving, never fully arrived. The moment a rider believes they have nothing left to learn is often the moment their riding IQ begins to quietly decline. This sign keeps them humble. They know the road can always produce something new. They know their signs can drift, and that even less experienced riders can sometimes see what they've stopped noticing. Staying curious isn't weakness. It's the most reliable predictor of long-term survival on two wheels. And perhaps that's the most honest thing we can say about a high-riding IQ. It's not about being fearless. It's not about being the fastest or the smoothest or the most technically gifted rider on the road. At its core, a high-riding IQ is really about awareness, a mind that keeps questioning, keeps updating, keeps asking, what am I missing right now? Because the road is never static, and the riders who understand that most deeply are the ones who tend to keep riding the longest.